Hello everyone and welcome to a trailer breakdown for Prehistoric Planet Ice Age. So the trailer is finally here, a full official trailer to have a look at what the series has to offer now. It's a 5-part event, so 5 episodes across 5 consecutive days, starting on November 26th. So a brilliant way to bring us into December, I'd say. But yeah, there's a lot to cover. Lots of new species have been confirmed in this trailer, and all I can say is the designs are beautiful. So, like, it is literally paleo art come to life. And Prehistoric Planet, the Maastrichtian focused seasons, were very much the same. They were paleo art coming to life, but I think here it really shines with some very bright colors in some of the animals, as well as just some very convincing CGI. Like the graphics in this series are top of the line and just look absolutely wonderful and really bring these animals to life. Species that are both familiar but also species that are quite new. Bringing them to life in a much greater degree of realism than any series focusing on the Pleistocene has ever done before, and certainly has a lot more diversity in the animal life, as you will see in a second. So starting off the trailer, we did get a shot of the woolly mammoth in a blizzard, but we also get a shot of Homotherium looking over an icy wasteland. So Homotherium is one of the saber-toothed cats that lived during the Pleistocene, and so it is definitely a species that we expected to see, as it was also the first animal that was confirmed for the series, sporting sabers that are kept behind lips rather than exposed. Now it looks like there is a mix in the saber-toothed cats, in the sense that some have lips and some don't. So the Smilodon, for example, has exposed sabers, rather when the Homotherium has shorter. And it's interesting because, like, it is a fairly debatable hypothesis, but a very plausible one as well. But of course, Smilodon is much better recognized as having exposed sabers. But yeah, we will certainly learn a bit more about saber-tooths in this series. In this next shot, we see Megalonyx emerging from a snowbank. Now, Megalonyx was a species that we got a very good look at in a clip that was released a few weeks ago, giving us our best look at the series as a whole, giving us some proper footage to look at rather than images. But yeah, Megalonyx is here, a medium-sized ground sloth from North America. Continuing on, we go into a bit of a montage. Here we see a Paleoloxodon falconry calf playing with an insect. So Paleoloxodon falconeri is the Sardinian dwarf elephant. So we will be going to many different islands in this series, which will be really fun to see, as there was so much life on different islands during the late Pleistocene. And it's been confirmed in the trailer as it goes from 1 million years all the way to the extinction of many of these animals. And so a lot of species that many of you were hoping for in the comments will actually make it in, as you will see a little bit later. Here we see Procoptodon, a giant short-faced kangaroo from Australia. So this species would actually not have hopped. It was too heavy to do so. The tendons would actually break if it tried to, so they would actually have run a lot more like we do, so 1 foot in front of the other, just running. Yeah, so very much not how kangaroos move around today, but none of them are as big as Procoptodon is. So in this shot, we actually get a surprise appearance from an animal that I was only learning about fairly recently. So this is Leptopsilos robustus. So this was a giant relative of the marabou stork that dominated the island of Flores in Indonesia during the Pleistocene, and was much taller, about as tall as a modern human, but much taller than the small humans that lived on Flores during that time, which I think was Homo floresiensis or something like that. But these were large predators, and probably one of the most dominant predators of the island alongside the Komodo dragon. So this is a really cool addition, and certainly a diverse addition, and so we're going to see a lot of different creatures in this series that we either would not have expected from an Ice Age series prior, but are just really cool, as we're going to be learning so much about the Ice Age world in this series. We get a quick look at a Glyptotherium baby running through a shrubby grassland, so we get another shot of Glyptotherium a bit later to see the adult. We also have Cryptoproctospilia, or the Giant Fossa, so we're going to Madagascar in this series, which is really cool, as Madagascar has some really cool creatures roaming about during the late Pleistocene. And you can see this one is fairly dark in colour, and it is suspected that the Giant Fossa was a lot darker in coloration than the modern Fossa. So it's going to be really cool to see this animal brought to life. And like, when I saw it, I just knew it was a fossa. It was probably the eyes, but also a bit of the facial structure. But fossas are one of my favourite predatory mammals, so it was pretty easy to recognise. But it's a really cool and very diverse addition, much like the stork is. A not so prehistoric appearance in the trailer was also the thorny devil. So the thorny devil is an animal that is of course around today. So it is about a mouse-sized lizard from the deserts of Australia. I've never seen one, but you do have to go into the desert to find them. But they're very cool lizards, and so I think this would be sort of in the episode where it's going much drier during the Ice Age. So animals that are evolved to living in dry environments would be popping up, and so the thorny devil would be one of them, especially as Australia became more arid as the inland sea started to recede, and that is largely what is suspected to have caused the extinction of the Australian megafauna, at least from my knowledge of what I've been taught. But yeah, the thorny devil is a really nice addition, and it gives us a good idea that a few modern species will be blended into this series alongside our prehistoric cast members. We also have Dinosaurs, the giant moa, and this shot, it is brilliant. Like, look at the colors, look at the feathers, it looks absolutely beautiful. It looks just like paleo art I've seen over the years, and just a very beautiful depiction of this animal. So Dinosaurs, or the giant moa, was one of the largest birds ever known, from the island of New Zealand, of course. But yeah, this animal is a really cool addition, and yeah, I just can't get over the colours, and the detail is just insane. But we are going to New Zealand in this series, so hopefully we see Harpagornis as well, because that would be really nice. We also get a nice look at a baby woolly mammoth snuggling up to its mother to keep warm. But yeah, we will see a lot of woolly mammoth in this series, I imagine. Another woolly animal we see is Coelodonta, or the woolly rhinoceros, in quite a large herd, honestly. Haven't often pictured rhinos as being in very large herds. Like, the most social I know of is the southern white rhinoceros that lives in pretty decent sized groups, but not quite as many animals as are seen here. But Coelodonta, I think, was a little bit smaller, and living in environments where there were pack hunting predators, living in a herd probably wasn't a bad idea. And those pack hunting predators look to be Homotherium. So Homotherium was very widespread during the Pleistocene, would have ranged from North America across Eurasia, and so may have had a few different variations between its populations. So this could be one of them, as we do see a fairly white Homotherium that lives in the tundra with the mammoths, but this one in the forest seems to be somewhat more coloured, like a snow leopard, honestly. So probably better for camouflaging in a more claustrophobic and dynamic landscape. And so yeah, we will see a few different Homotherium in this series, I imagine. Talking about some diverse environments, we do see some woolly mammoths in a much drier environment. So this will likely be in that sort of drylands episode, where the world is getting a bit drier, as we also see them face to face with a sandstorm. So woolly mammoths were really getting hit hard during the Ice Age, not just by ice but also by sand. But yeah, it's going to really show some animals that we always picture in a certain environment in a few different environments. I think that's really beneficial for enriching people's education of many of these Ice Age animals. Another species from Madagascar that we see is Aepyornis, or the elephant bird. seen here sporting 2 wattles coming down the neck. But you can tell the difference between it and the giant moa, as it has a much sharper beak and much sharper head shape as well, but also a sort of fainter blue and more red than what the Dinornis sports. So we're going to get a few different prehistoric ratites in this series, which is really cool. We also see Arctotherium. So Arctotherium is one of the largest ground sloths that we know of, if not the largest. And so it's really cool to see it here, and sporting an idea that has been proposed recently that the largest of the ground sloths would have had very sparse fur. And you can see here the fur is very much just a thin layer across the body. So very similar to how Asian elephants, how they are covered in their hair. So elephants do have hair, by the way, so they do have a light cover of hair across parts of their bodies, but of course this is a sloth, so may have had a bit more hair, but I could largely tell it's a Arctotherium due to 2 primary claws on each hand. So you of course have that smaller third finger, but that has a much smaller claw, if not, the claw is not even there. But the 2 larger fingers definitely do have the claws. But it could be Megatherium as well, so you never know. Like, we can't really get a great look at the claws in this shot, but we could get a really great look at just the scale and the beauty of this magnificent animal. A species that I was really excited to see back is Macrauchenia. So Macrauchenia is a very bizarre creature from South America, and has been featured in shows previously, like Walking with Beasts. However, that was a much more old interpretation of Macrauchenia, sporting a long trunk. But we now believe that Macrauchenia would have had more of just an inflatable nose, similar to Saiga and elephant seals, in having just a large air sac in the nasal cavity. And really looks a lot more like a camelid than whatever the Macrauchenia in Walking with Beasts was sort of looking like. So it's a really cool and very diverse animal to see here. Speaking of diverse, another surprise addition is this Stella's sea cow. So we are going to the oceans in this series, which is really good. But yeah, Stella's sea cow is a species that humans actually hunted to extinction. So it's possible that we may even see dodo, great auk, and thylacine in this series as well, as they were species that humans, of course, exterminated, but were alive during the last ice age. So it'd be really great to see those animals. And the Stella's sea cow is just a really diverse addition here, and it's really going to be good to see it brought to life rather than just illustrations. Now these animals here, I don't really know what they are. So they sort of resemble a giant otter of some kind, and we know a giant otter species is going to be in this series. But I assumed it would be the Megalonhydrus, the giant Sardinian otter. But we could see them competing with Smilodon. So I'm curious as to what species this could be otherwise. If you do know, let me know in the comments, because yeah, they're very odd looking for one, and somewhat otter-like. But let me know if there was a giant otter that would have been around at least at most a million years ago for this series. We see a Paleoloxodon falconeri mother and calf. So the calf is the animal that we've seen a few different images and shots of previously. So we get to see the adult now, which is a bit bigger, but not too much bigger, I will say, because yeah, these were animals subject to insular dwarfism, so would have been a lot smaller. And yeah, really cool to see a Paleoloxodon being represented in a series. Whether we'll get one of the larger species of Paleoloxodon, I think the Pneumaticus, which might have been around at the time, I am not sure, but would be really cool to see. Here we also get a good look at the Glyptotherium from the side this time, so we can see the length of the animal, but also the armored tail, and a really good idea of some of the proportions. So Glyptotherium is of course a giant armadillo, but is not the only giant armadillo that will be in this series. We get another shot of the Megalonyx family, what the sort of first child sliding down the snowy slope when with the little baby clung to the mother's back. So this is very much how Xenarthans, like the sloths and the anteaters, carry their babies. So they carry them on their backs, and it's very possible that giant sloths would have done the same. So we get a shot here, say the epic 5-part event, of course, but I picked out this shot simply because of the Valdivian forest that we can see. So this is in Patagonia, specifically in Chile, and we can see a cat down there, which is likely a Smilodon populator, which would have been found this far south during its reign. But a really great use of the Patagonian landscape for this series, as it is of course one of the most prehistoric looking environments, as it was also used in Walking with Dinosaurs, the Death of a Dynasty, as a prehistoric forest, as these Araucaria trees are very much an ancient group. Now, the second armadillo species that we see is Dinosaurs. So Dinosaurs is one that I am very familiar with, and I know many of you would be as well, as it was featured in Walking with Beasts and is, I think, in Ark as well. So any one of you who plays Ark, you would be very familiar with the Dinosaurs. But this species is, of course, very well known for having a much longer tail than the Glyptotherium, sporting a large spiky club at the end. So it's a very interesting animal, and really cool to see it brought to life here in a more modern documentary. Though I think Dinosaurs was in Life on Our Planet, which is on Netflix. So it's not like it's been a long time since we've seen a Dinosaurs, but really great to see it here in this series as well. We also see Megalosaurus, so the giant Irish elk, leaping across a stream, possibly being chased by predators. Like, there are lots of animals that I really want to see in this series. I'd love to see the Anacyon, the direwolf, Arctotherium, the giant short-faced bear, American lion, all sorts of things that I would really like to see here. And we definitely look to be going all over the world, and with so many different species in this series. But the Megalosaurus here looks very nice and very much like some paleo art that I have seen. Now, we also see a Dasyuran marsupial evading Megalania. So Megalania is a species I was really hoping that would be in this series, and of course, bingo, here you go. Now, I don't recognize this particular species of marsupial, but it sort of resembles the modern dibbler, which is a small carnivorous marsupial that lives today, only this is much larger. And here it is about the size of the Megalania's skull. So yeah, very much a larger animal. But yeah, if you know what this is, please let me know in the comments. But one of the animals that I was really excited to see confirmed for this series is, of course, Thylacoleo carnifex. So this is the largest carnivorous marsupial known, and of course the most well-known of the Pleistocene carnivores of Australia, at least. But yeah, it's a very cool animal, had a very powerful bite force, and is related to koalas and wombats. So this is the literal drop bear, as it would have been about the size of some bears today. But yeah, very great to see this animal doing what it does. It would have climbed up into the trees and leapt down on its prey, so very cool to see it here. We also see a Teratornis, which was a large vulture-like bird that lived in North America during the Pleistocene, that is harassing a Nothrotheriops mother and baby as they scale the walls of a canyon. So the Nothrotheriops is also known as the Shasta ground sloth, and I think is now the third sloth that we know of for the series, which is really cool. But yeah, it's very great to see a lot of North American megafauna also being brought in here. And we get a close-up look at the Nothrotheriops inside their den, having a very different pattern to all the other ground sloths, so really making them distinct between scenes. So we get a good idea of ground sloth diversity, but also are able to tell them apart pretty well. Then one of the last shots of the trailer is what I believe to be a Diprotodon, so the largest marsupial that has ever been discovered, as the nose in particular seems to be more pronounced than the Procoptodon from earlier. But yeah, it wouldn't be Prehistoric Australia if you didn't include the Diprotodon, as it is just one of those iconic Australian marsupials that you know of from the Ice Age. And I've seen bones of Diprotodon too, and it was very large. So yeah, it would be really great to see it here. And then ending the trailer, we see Homotherium making an attempt at hunting woolly mammoths. But that is not all, as we have a few bonus images to look at. The first of which confirming that Elasmotherium will be appearing in the series, sporting the smaller horn it is thought to have had. And perhaps the most surprising but also most exciting inclusion here is Gigantopithecus, a large ape that I know a lot of you in the comments would be very happy to see here. So it's very great that we have confirmation that Gigantopithecus is in this series. So yeah, really great to see. Great to see a primate too in this series, because yeah, there were lots of really great species of primate from the Pleistocene, with Gigantopithecus being one of them, and the largest of the primates that we know of, found in China during this time. So really great to see it here, looking very cool. Now we also get a brilliant close-up look at the Megalania, looking really rad and menacing, as Megalania should. Though I feel like the pupil should be a little bit more rounded than a slit, as what is seen in modern monitor lizards. And yeah, they possess rounded pupils rather than this very crocodilian slit pupil in the eye. And our last shot is a better look at the Megaloceros in this stunning shot of it peering into a cave. So yeah, looking really beautiful here. Great to see Megaloceros returning to a documentary. We do know that Cave Bear will also be in this series, so this may be leading into the Cave Bear scene. But yeah, really great to see all these animals confirmed. I was just about to call the video there, but then I realised there are a few more images. So we also have confirmation of Arctotherium here seen with the body of a Macrokenia, so we are getting the giant short-faced bear in this series. You can also see Smilodon here, looking really cool, really beautiful. This is probably one of my favourite Smilodon designs ever, just immediately. We also see a good look at the baby dwarf elephant, so the Paleoloxodon falconry. Look at the detail on those ears and the hairs. Yeah, someone was very busy with this model, I'll say that. Like, the level of detail is absolutely amazing. It's really beautiful. Like, I don't think we'll ever see a CGI elephant look better. Like, seriously, it looks really great. Another confirmed species is the Columbian mammoth. So, really great to see it here, getting stuck in tar though, which is a little bit unfortunate for it. But this is of course how we learned about Columbian mammoths and a few other species. So yeah, it's really great to see it here though. Very cool mammoth species. We also see a canine of a kind, which I can only assume will be Anacyon, the dire wolf. But yeah, let me know what you think, because I really do think this could be the dire wolf, so very cool. We also see a terror bird of some kind, so terror birds are making it. What species it is, I am not sure. Whether it is a very small species, yeah, I don't quite know. But it could be Titanus, though I think Titanus might have a much larger beak. But yeah, let me know what you think this species might be. We get a good shot of the Homotherium here, seen with its sabers drawn. But of course, they are able to tuck back in behind the lips there in those pockets. Now, not as extreme as a lot of depictions have had before, so it looks a lot more natural on this rendition of the animal. We get another great look at Homotherium here in the snow, so you can really see the difference between the two. These also could be different coats from different times of year, though both looks to be in winter, so looks like different populations rather, so going to be very cool to see the difference there. We get a great look at the elephant birds on Madagascar here. We see a little baby over there, as well as the adults here with those very pronounced wattles. And you can really see the difference here between it and the Dinornis. We also get a great look at Dinosaurs here, up on its hind legs. So this is something that many armadillos will actually do in modern times to get a better look around. So it's very likely that Dinosaurs may have also done the same. And we get a great look at them mid-combat, and you can see they have some dents in their armor. So yeah, we're going to really see how deadly those tails really could have been, as they were not made for predators, they were made for battling other Dinosaurs. We get a great close-up look of the woolly mammoth here. Really great look at the detail on the tusks and the immaculate fur. Like, the fur looks so beautiful, very much like what we found in mammoths in permafrost. We get a great look here of two Dinosaurs, so giant mowers. So one looks to be a youngster compared to the adult. So yeah, we're going to get a really great look at this species here in the forests of New Zealand, which actually honestly looks to be where they filmed it, so really great there. We get a nice close-up of the baby Glyptotherium nuzzling up to its mother. And proper confirmation of Diprotodon, so Diprotodon is in the series, so really great to see there. Big giant wombat animal that was about the size of a rhino. But yeah, very great. We also get a squirrel, so we're getting a prehistoric squirrel in this series. Now, of course, I do not know the species of squirrel here. Rodents are not my strong suit when it comes to species, so if you know the name of this species, do let me know in the comments. We get a great look at a mammoth calf in the snow. Whether the situation for this mammoth calf is necessarily great, I am not sure, but I can't imagine it is, given it looks to be freezing. But yeah, very cool to see just a diverse range of environments and the detail of the snow starting to crystallize on the mammoth's fur. We also get this really nice shot of realism here. So big cats, when they're roaming around territories, like this honestly looks like it would be from a camera trap that they set up at this site. So big cats often set mark on rocks and high on rocks as well. So we might get a bit here where the Smilodon is rubbing scent glands on its cheeks on the rocks, and possibly even just going to spray that rock with urine as well. But yeah, it's a very, very familiar shot for me, having seen a lot of big cats in documentaries. And our last shot this time is the Coelodonta squaring off against the Homotherium. But that is all for the Prehistoric Planet Ice Age trailer and new images. Let me know what species you are most excited to see in this series, as, yeah, there are loads here. This is easily going to be probably my new favourite Cenozoic series. Like, Walking with Beasts is, of course, a classic, but I think the level of diversity just within the Pleistocene that is being focused on here is just so exciting to see that it may just become my new favourite. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Favourite species, I think mine would probably be the Gigantopithecus, or the Megalania, or the Fossa, the Thylacoleo. I like a lot of them. But yeah, let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.